Right, so it's a Saturday, which means there's another new episode of Doctor Who out, and this week is The Eaters of Light, written by classic series writer, returned to the new series, Rona Munro, who wrote Survival. Now, I quite like Survival, and I was going in with some higher expectations, and I was a bit disappointed, to be honest. I mean, alright, the problems with The Eaters of Light all come down to pacing. Rona Munro wrote Survival. Survival is great because it works in the very much three-act format of a three-parter. This one feels like Rona Munro tried to write a three-parter, was able to get the entire first episode written and translated into the screen. The second and third one, it took them and then cut them down. This is a really big sufferer of the 45-minute syndrome, with a lot of scenes just sort of being shoved together just to try to give us something to latch on to when it comes in terms of story. It's not a bad episode by any means. I mean, heck, the only really bad episodes of this season were The Lie of the Land and Pyramid at the End of the World. This is just sort of, it leaves you really wanting more. I mean, it's definitely got a good story. I think the villain is definitely creative. I do have some complaints about the way Bill is written and the Doctor's written. They just, in a couple of the earlier scenes, it feels almost like it's a first draft for them, and they haven't really been developed totally. Nardole, oddly enough, is fine, but Bill and the Doctor have just this weird sort of, there's just this essence of it that just doesn't seem to work very well. I don't quite like the way it was written. It just doesn't seem to, it just sort of, I don't want to say it rubs me just a little bit the wrong way with you. It just doesn't seem to give anything good. I like how you have the two warring factions, and they are warring because they don't understand each other's language. So, getting rid of being able just to sit down and talk in a language that everyone can understand is that's the way that really is what unites them, so they can fight the common threat, which is really good. And I like how it takes sort of this, like, explaining an old legend aspect, which is that's a very good way of doing historical, like trying to explain an old legend of the past. That's just sort of the way. That's an interesting way of doing it, I'd have to say. But yeah, there just wasn't too much interesting. You had I don't remember any of the supporting characters. I do think Rona Munro did an interest. I don't think Rona Munro really understands how love works in Rome. It isn't quite, because love, I don't want to go too deep into it. If you've seen the episode, you sort of know what I'm talking about. Like, there were 3 different words for love, and they all meant sort of different types of love, which is some of the things that you can't really translate into English, because we only really have love. All its different forms boiled down to the one word love, which is interesting. Oddly enough, while you have a lot of, like, it's a very, very sort of a colorblind cast when it comes to the Romans. I can't give it fault, because that's more historically accurate. The Romans were rather interesting for having, much like Alexander the Great, get into your army, which is, and also, they had their interesting views on love, which are almost in line here, showed accurately here. It's just not quite understanding the whole complexities of how, of how Rome works with love, being the 3 different forms, which I won't go, again, I'm not going too into that, here. It also, that's also because we've only had 45 minutes for the episode. We don't have too much to explore, but yeah, it was a pretty enjoyable episode. Maybe I'll watch it again sometime. Who knows? It's not one that I'm going to dread getting to. And I do hope Rona Munro maybe comes back again. She's got 2 pretty decent stories under her belt. Let's hope she can give us some more. Though, if we're going to get another classic writer back, can we please get Mark Platt next time? And Moffat, stop it. You're not fooling anyone with the whole Missy thing. We know she's evil. They're looking good next week. Next week does look very, very interesting. But until then, thanks for watching. Please leave a like and comment down below with your thoughts on the episode, as I'll be giving The Eaters of Light a tentative 6 out of 10, because it's good. It's just nothing too special. Yeah.